more out of your love, sex, romance, everything. You're curiouser. So am I. In this live, I'm sharing my thoughts on life, love, passion, and creating something that is far better than I ever could have dreamed. Welcome to Curiouser. Hello, hello, hello. For those of you who don't know me, hi. I'm Heather, also known as Nookie. I live an amazing personal life full of love, sex, passion, adventure, exploration, and because I believe that everyone deserves this for themselves, I write books, teach workshops, and offer coaching for better love, sex, romance, and kink for people of all genders, relationship statuses, orientations, and more. Hello, Sabyasachi. Always a pleasure to see you. Hello, that guy over there. Thank you for joining me. So, marriage isn't for you. This is a quote. You don't marry to make yourself happy. You marry to make someone else happy. A true marriage and true love is never about you. Say what? Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. It is advice like this that, in my opinion, really fudges up our understanding of what healthy relationships are really like. And I am far, far from being against making people happy. That's part of me being happy most of the time. But I am strongly against making others happy instead of me or ahead of me. And it's my opinion that if you find yourself in a relationship where making your partner happy is not also something you really enjoy and that fills you up beyond your wildest dreams, it's time to re-examine. In this live, I'll be answering your questions about good selfishness, dating, and being lucky in love. So let me start off real quick with this. My philosophy in life and love is that when it comes to any kind of relationship, what works for you and your partner may not be what works for another. So I'm a big fan of do what works. Let me say that again, real quick. Do what works. This is one of my main mantras in life as well as in my relationship. So take what works for you from this series, what makes your brain go ding, that sounds like a great idea, and leave the rest. Or use what you learn to expand your understanding of what works for others so that you can be more aware and more tolerant and more flexible and more loving. But please, don't ever think that I'm telling you what to do. I'm a strong personality. I'm dominant. I'm passionate. I rant and rave. But I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just sharing my favorite information with you so that you can see that there are other options and to figure all of that out for yourself and your partners. Right? Makes sense? So I promised you in the title to this live to tell you how being a selfish shit brought me more love, passion, and romance than I ever dreamed. What I didn't say is that me being a selfish shit has also brought others in my life more love, passion, and romance than they ever dreamed. Which probably seems contradictory, but it is absolutely not. So let's dig in. And please don't forget to comment or ask your questions in chat. I love engaging and I keep an eye on the scroll at all times. I like to see you saying hello and checking in and asking your questions and sharing your experiences. That is one of the reasons that I am now going live instead of just simply writing something each morning and shooting it off into the world. So we're told, socialized even, that being selfish in a relationship is a bad thing. The article that inspired this rant that was being passed around Facebook said, and I quote, "Hello, Amy, welcome. You don't marry to make yourself happy. You marry to make someone else happy. More than that, your marriage isn't for yourself. You're marrying for a family. Not just for the in-laws and all of that nonsense, but for your future children. Who do you want to help you raise them? Who do you want to influence them? Marriage isn't for you. It's not about you. Marriage is about the person you married." That was the advice the author got from his father. Then the author says, "My father's advice was both shocking and revelatory. It went against the grain of today's Walmart philosophy, which is if it doesn't make you happy, you can take it back and get a new one. No, a true marriage and true love is never about you. It's about the person you love, their wants, their needs, their hopes, their dreams. Selfishness demands what's in it for me, while love asks, what can I give?" And he adds in, "No true relationship of love is for you. Love is about the person you love." This went viral. That guy over there asked, which year was this? Oh, it was a few years ago. I don't know. I do know that actually it popped back up into my Facebook feed, which is what inspired me to go looking for it, because I was like, I have seen that before. I have ranted on this already. So people hearted it and starred it and shared it and saying things like, "So true," and "I wish my husband knew this." I gotta admit, I hated it instantly. Because according to this guy, my marriage failed because I didn't put my husband's happiness first. Not because he had a diagnosed mental illness and turned into a raging and unpredictable alcoholic with emotionally manipulative tendencies, but because marriage isn't for me, right? I apparently had a Walmart philosophy since I returned my marriage to the world because it didn't fit after trying for years to make it work. "Oh, I'm sure he didn't mean that," people might say. "Not if you were being abused." Sure. Maybe not. He probably didn't actually. Like, I'm not thinking this guy is a monster. But you know what? He also didn't make allowances for that in his advice. He didn't say, "You know what? If you are well and truly unhappy or feel like your life is turning dark and unlivable, well, then marriage could be for you." Or, I mean, he could have at least offered a different return policy, right? Anyway, I'm going to stop beating up on this guy because he's not the only voice saying things like this, is he? we're socialized that putting ourselves first is bad. That we should always put others first, especially in relationships, especially in love, especially in true love. And if we don't, it's not real, it's not true, and it's not good. That guy over there says, feels like something that didn't evolve with the times. Feels like people that didn't evolve with the times, right? But more than that, how much of this attitude is the undercurrent of most of what we learn about relationships? I mean, my parents never taught me this, but I did learn a lot of this from popular culture. And I still see this a lot in popular culture. Amy says, if the other person doesn't make the marriage about you, but you make it about them, then it's unhealthy. This is true. I think there's more to it than that, though, for me. Alex says, marriage is for both parties, but it can't serve either party if you can't identify how you want it to serve yourself. Ooh, I like that. I like that very much. I do. Being selfish is all about I and not we, which is what a relationship is built upon, says relationship etiquette expert Mara Oberman. Okay, first of all, what is relationship etiquette anyway? And for that guy over there, this is what, like, I saw in a recent article, like recent, a couple years ago, maybe, right? So like, this is not new. This is not past stuff. This is not like from the 1950s where, you know, I looked it up and no, this is from like a couple years ago. This was on Bustle. So here's the question. Is being selfish all about I? Sabyasachi says, that article can be an example of some people have poor judgment on relationships. Maybe that's why marriages break up. Sure, absolutely. And I also think that, you know, I'm not suggesting that this guy, whoever he is, I mean, I don't know who he is really. I just know he wrote this article. I'm not suggesting that this guy is happy or unhappy in his relationship or that the advice that his father gave him is wrong for him. Not at all. Again, do what works, right? If somebody going into a relationship needs to believe that specific thing in order to provide an excellent relationship for their partner and feel happy and fulfilled, well, then more power to them. I just feel like that's what we're fed a lot of, and it's not good advice for most people. So real quick, please don't forget to like this video and share it wherever you find me. It's a huge help for me to have people recommend me to their friends and family and groups and pages online, wherever you are on social media, websites, group sites, etc. Thanks so much for that, for those of you who do. So let's real quick, those of you who follow me know that I love to define words, because when we define a word together in a live like this, we both have an idea of what we're working with, right? So selfish, adjective, of a person, action, or motive, lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. Okay, so I've used this definition before, and I can totally see how this would read as an inherently bad thing. But let's examine that, because frankly, I think that overall selfishness is a good thing when it comes to relationships. You are not on this planet to consider other people's wants and desires in deciding what is right for you. Or are you? And if you are, then who is on this planet to consider your wants and desires in deciding what is right for them? Now, if you have that person or people, because you are other people to everyone else, right? And you're wonderfully happy and content. Well, this is not this one, not the video for you. You've found your path, and selflessness is your thing, and that's okay, right? But I'm guessing that's not why you're here, why you're watching now. And I'm guessing that you've been trying to put others first most of your life. And a lot of the time you failed pretty miserably at it, or you succeeded and then you were miserable. Because in my experience, it just doesn't work. Hey, Roger, always good to see you. I would hope it could be about both, that I could make her happy, but at the same time, me happy also. I don't believe that the two are mutually exclusive. See, that's true. I think that that's true. 100%. Now let's talk about this. What if I told you that being selfish is actually good and healthy for you? It is. Wanting your own happiness is essential to a healthy relationship. Amy says, yes, and became depressed because I put myself last. Ding! That is incredibly common. Because you put people first, others first, over your own needs, wants, and desires, and you end up draining yourself more and more and more. My partner, the man I love more than life itself, I swear to you, this every freaking day, my love for this human grows, has had multiple relationships in the past where he gave and gave and gave. And then when he found himself emptying out or hitting the bottom of his resources and asked for something in return, he was denied because that wasn't a part of the original agreement. He was made to feel bad for having wants and needs. Now, I'm not saying that the people that he was involved with are bad people. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that they were incompatible. And I'm saying that by not standing up for his needs and wants and advocating for himself, he didn't have the opportunity to find out that those were incompatible options to begin with. And the partners that he was with also didn't ask him to please tell me what you want and need. What would you like out of this now? How can I help you? That wasn't part of the things that they did to fill themselves up. So again, not bad people. Not even overall bad experiences, really. But the relationships were not good, right? They were not sustainable. because they were incompatible. Hey, Twist, good to see you. I am indeed here because I'm not sure who should go first. That is truth. You should go first. You should go first, and you should go first, and you should go first, and you way in the back over there not saying anything, you should go first too. Yeah. You should go first. In the book I'm writing, Boundaries Are Sexy as Fuck, which is the working title, I call this the prime directive, right? To care for and protect our own hearts and minds. What do you think about that, huh? The prime directive. To create our relationships in the sweet spot. What do you know about the sweet spot, huh? Have you built your relationships in the sweet spot? Do you put your own heart and mind first? It's rough. We're not taught to, right? How about this? Do what's right for you. Because long term, it'll be what's right for them. Either in that they'll learn to love and accept you, or the relationship will end, freeing you both to be yourselves. Yep. That's me. I said that. Being concerned chiefly with one's own profit or pleasure. Let's remove the profit part since I'm specifically focused on relationships. Being concerned chiefly with one's own pleasure, as noted in the definition for selfish, is good for you. Wanting your own happiness is essential to a healthy relationship. Alex says, sounds like a familiar childhood pattern for many, made to feel guilty for having wants and needs. Oh, yes, right? Oh, yes. And say that again, the prime directive is protecting your own heart and mind. Someone tattoo that on my face. Amy says, think there is any way to get to that spot if it wasn't there from the beginning? Ooh, good question. Yes. It takes work. It absolutely takes work, but it can be done. Both people in that case would have to want a different relationship and be willing to put in some of the work to do it. Because it's kind of like, you ever heard the phrase measure twice, cut once? The idea that if you put in a little bit of extra work at the beginning, you won't have to rebuild something. It's kind of like that, right? So if two people are like, hey, we're in a tough spot right now, but we both want better and we both value each other enough to put in the work and to maybe go through some challenges and frustrations together, then yes, it can absolutely be done. You just start negotiating. Negotiate your relationship. Figure out what you both want and need, and then advocate for yourself. Because advocating for your own happiness is essential to a healthy relationship. And speaking up for your own happiness is essential. It doesn't mean that you don't care about your partner, right? Or that you're a bad person. It means that you deserve to choose relationships that make you happy over relationships that don't. Earlier this week, I talked about relationships being more like 25-75, where 25 is the share of effort you put in and 75 being a 300% return. Do y'all have that? Simple yes or no. Do you feel like you put, X thing into your relationship and you get at least 3 times X out of your relationship? Not necessarily the exact same thing. Like you don't put in a penny and get 3 pennies back, or put in a kiss and get 3 kisses back. But if you put in a kiss, you get 3 times the kiss back in good feels from your relationship. Do you have that? Amy says no. Twist says, fuck no. I think that is a bare minimum. As I said earlier this week, if you get out of a relationship exactly what you put in, you're investing poorly. A simple savings account will get you better interest. I believe that a relationship should fill you up. Sabyasachi says no. Life drains us, right? With what it throws at us. Shelley says maybe more one-to-one. Life drains us with what it throws at us. Our relationships shouldn't. If your relationship is merely filling you up one-to-one, then you are treading water. You are just keeping your head above the waterline. And as soon as life smacks you with something, or as soon as something bad happens in your relationship, you are drowning. You ever thought about it that way? About how much effort you put into your relationship to get the exact same thing back or less? So, examples of good selfishness in relationships. Saying no to things that don't make you happy. Communicating your needs and wants clearly to your partner and standing up for them. Pursuing your own hobbies and interests. Self-care. Going back to Amy's question, negotiating your relationship to advocate for your needs and your wants and set clear expectations. Setting boundaries for when you need time alone. These are all good examples of selfishness, good selfishness in a relationship. And speaking of boundaries, I'm writing a book about boundaries. I mentioned that. Boundaries Are Sexy as Fuck is the working title. And I've written over 50 chapters, and you can get the chapters as I write them live. Actually, right now I'm in the process of going through and editing and figuring out which chapters are going to get into the book and which chapters are merely going to be videos and discussions and so on and so forth, just like this one, right? But you can get access to the book as I'm working on it right now by joining my Take No Shit workshop, which you can find at takenoshit.curiouser.life. It's an online at your own pace workshop. You can join today. It's $47. And April 3rd, if you do join between now and then, April 3rd, you can be part of a group going through the lessons together. right? Joining together and going through the lessons on a week by week basis with a group of people. So there you go. Would love to have you. The price is actually going to go up in April after this group. So ideally join now so that you're not waiting. Of course, I love having you here on the lives as well. And I know some of you are going to get exactly what you need out of these lives, and you don't need that extra input and whatever. But if you do, I hope you'll join me. When it comes right down to it, though, when you prioritize your own happiness, you become a happier and more satisfied person. You'll be less likely to feel resentful or burned out in your relationship. And when you're happy and filled up, it's easier to fill your partner, and they'll be happier as well. It's a virtuous cycle. Well, okay, let's say you're with me this far, right? But you're a little worried about all that socialization you have, about putting other people first, about all of the messages you have received from previous partners telling you that you are selfish or that you don't think of them enough or whatever it is, right? So how do you know if you're being good selfish or mean selfish? Well, here are a few signs you can watch out for. Are you being spiteful or vindictive? Now, you may say, I don't know if I am. No. Pause for a moment. I'm not buying that. You do know. You do 100% know when you're being spiteful or vindictive. I know when I'm doing it. Oh, hell yeah. And I am human enough to feel it. I have certain friends that I will write to them and send them a message and say, hey, you got a minute? Because I'm being a not very good person right now and I need to rant about this so that I don't take it out on people. Do you only think about yourself and not your partner at all? Maybe you're not willing to collaborate on your relationship together. Or maybe you're ignoring like the needs and wants of your partner and not even acknowledging them or validating them. And honestly, I like to say that a big part of bad selfish is when whatever fills you up is harmful to others. Celine and I were talking earlier today about some people that we both know. And she had been in a conversation with one of them over some basic local community stuff. And I realized and sent her a link to a writing I had done a couple of years ago. I'm not sure how long ago, a long time ago, about the difference between emotional masochism and sadism, and how to spot emotional masochists and sadists, and how there are a lot of emotional sadists running around in the world today who know very well when they are being spiteful or vindictive when their words might hurt or manipulate others. And they do that because it gives them pleasure. And a lot of us, I dare say all of us, have a little bit of that in us. We want to hurt others when we feel hurt, right? And we don't always even aim that hurt at others, at the people who hurt us, right? We aim it at the world or at whoever happens to be closest to us. And sometimes that's somebody we love. Alex says, sometimes my partner and I will apologize for being selfish. Maybe in response, we should be supportive of each other, asking for what they really need. I would say yes. In fact, I would go even further than that. Rather than supporting someone after they have asked for something, although that is definitely a good positive reinforcement, make times to check in and ask them for what they want and need, right? When you're laying around and feeling loving, for me, it's as simple as if my partner and I are sitting on the couch together, you know, he's watching something, I'm reading a book or doing this, that, or the other thing. When I get up to fill up my water glass, I ask, hey, is there anything you need while I'm up? It's habitual. Now that's teeny tiny, maybe a little silly in contrast to all these super heavy thoughts. But when you get in the habit of saying, hey, what can I do for you? My partner and I are spending some time tomorrow evening with some dear friends of ours. There's a birthday happening, and we're going to go have a little, you know, menage a quatre evening together, sexy, fun, loving, friendship, companionship. And so Saturday, we're probably going to be a little tired. So I said to him today, I said, hey, Sunday, you're planning a big bike ride, yes? And he says, yes. I said, how about Saturday? We do our best to get some things done around the house. And we spend the evening together chilling and maybe talking about, you know, where we're at right now with our relationship and goals that we want to accomplish this year, how I'm at with, you know, my recovery. And then Sunday, after your ride, if we've gotten everything done, we can play it by ear. Maybe we can go out and spend some time with friends or whatever. Just sort of laying that out and saying, this is my thought. How would you like to collaborate on this? And he said, yes, absolutely. That sounds great. There's also been times when he's come back and said, actually, I'd really like to spend Saturday evening doing XYZ. Can you find your own thing to do? Absolutely, I can, right? I can, because it's important to me that we have the opportunity to speak up in our relationship. And so I go out of my way to make sure to ask him, what do you want? What do you need? Being selfish in a relationship isn't always a bad thing. It depends on the context and how you approach it. Reflect on your actions and make sure you're being good selfish for your own happiness and overall health of your relationship. Does your happiness ever get filled up by making your partner happy? And if it does, is it selfish to make your partner happy? Prioritizing who you are and what you want in your relationships is good. choosing who you are, who you want to be, and your own pleasure over others is not a bad thing. When you have the people in your life that are good matches for you, your selfishness will want to choose and consider them because they contribute to who you are, who you want to be, and your pleasure. And if that's not the case, I'd suggest examining your feelings about the relationship itself, or why you'd want to be in a relationship that only includes one happy person, either you or them. Or why you'd want to be in a relationship that includes like the tug of war of I want to be happy. No, I want to be happy. No, I want to be happy. Alex says it certainly doesn't help that popular media glorifies emotional sadism. Not at all, right? That's a huge part, again, of socialization. And it also glorifies, tit for tat relationships, an eye for an eye. Well, if they did this, then I'm going to do that. What popular media does not glorify, in my opinion, are people just loving each other deeply and doing whatever they can to connect authentically. Roger says, every time my wife said we need to talk, it always ended badly, which is funny because New Year's Day this year, my partner and I planned a relationship discussion and date day for start the year off right. And we were out with some friends earlier that day, getting some beers or whatever. And I said, oh, babe, time for us to go. And everybody's like, ooh, got big plans. There were 2 other couples there. So there were 6 of us. And I said, yes, he went into pay. I said, yes, we're going to have a state of the relationship date night. And people were like, oh, wow. I'm sorry about that. Have a good time. And I was like, no, this is a good thing. We're looking forward to it. Right. We like to have talks. We like to have positive talks. We don't really love to have negative talks, but we have them because, not having them is shitty and leads to more resentment and not goodness. So, do y'all have any questions about what we've covered today? Pop them in the chat if you're with me live, or into the comments if you're watching the replay. Twist says, probably need to talk about more things. I say, we need to talk and speak about dinner plans or events to go to. Yeah. The thing is, I think what a lot of people do is they sort of like put off that whole need to talk thing until like there's so much that needs to be talked about that like it all comes like pouring out, like the dam is breaking and like there's so much to cover. Whereas my need to talk is like, well, like today, hey babe, we got this thing tomorrow night. How about we do this Saturday and Sunday? Does that sound good to you? Yeah. Or no, what I'd really like is XYZ, right? Rather than waiting until the last minute and then being like Saturday, oh, we have to do this and this and this and this and this. Oh, you never plan ahead or whatever it is, right? A lot of people will tell you that a relationship is compromise and sacrifice and hard work and, whatever. You can't just do what you want. First of all, I don't compromise. I don't believe in it. I believe in collaboration. I don't sacrifice. If there's a sacrifice, I need to re-examine my thoughts on the choices that I'm making. Hard work. I mean, there's effort, but I'm not sure I'd call it hard work. And frankly, I do what I want in my relationship, all of my relationships. And so does my partner and my partners. The joy in this is that we both want a relationship that exceeds our wildest dreams, right? And so we prioritize that for ourselves. Because well, we ultimately want that for ourselves and each other, which means that we do things that make the other person happy, because to each of us, part of an ideal relationship is being able to make someone that we love happy, to surprise and delight them, to know that the happier they are with us, the more they want to make us happy and surprise and delight us in return. Now, some may not call that selfish. But you know what? My ex-husband called me a selfish shit long before I claimed that title in pride. My partner's exes called him selfish. Because what we wanted for ourselves was a priority to us over what they wanted for and from us. Was what they wanted bad? Yeah, I mean, not my place to say. But I will personally always take being selfish over what others have offered me before I claim that title for myself. Twist says, where is the line between good and bad selfish? I mean, there is a level of consideration for your partners. So, yes, I keep trying to put this into words. I feel like all selfishness that is not harmful to others, all the things that you could consent to, right? This is my time. This is my space. This is my energy. Anything within these boundaries. This is me. Everything outside the boundaries, that is not me, right? Everything inside these boundaries, that's good selfish. Now, other people don't necessarily agree. I mean, I've set boundaries with people and they've gotten upset with me. They've gotten angry at me. They've said I'm taking things away, and I'm saying you never had them to begin with, and I never agreed to that. And in a relationship, for me, if the things that I want and the things that fill me up do not include my partner's wants and desires and happiness, then I don't worry so much about whether or not I'm being selfish. I realize I'm not in the right relationship. I'm not in a good fit. Because a good fit to me is most of the things that will make my partner filled and happy and feeling loved and cared for and considered in our relationship come naturally to me, and doing them for my partner also makes me happy. That guy over there says, it feels like using selfish is a way to create a boundary that will allow others with complementary boundaries to connect. Yes. right? Because again, if we're talking about the sweet spot in relationships, this is what you want, right? This is what I want, the Venn diagram. Where do we overlap? That is where we build our relationship. So, twist. You and I are now in a relationship because I said so. Just bear with me for a minute here. You and I like talking intellectually. That goes in the sweet spot, right? You and I have some alternative thoughts about relationships. In the sweet spot. You and I like wild, raucous sex. Great. In the sweet spot. I'm assuming you do. I don't know it. You like Pokemon Go. That's not in my sweet spot, right? Now, I don't need to like Pokemon Go for us to have a relationship in the sweet spot. What I do need, though, is the desire for you to be able to fulfill your own gaming needs and desires and to give you the space to do that on your own or to do it with other people, like your gaming buddies and your servers and so on and so forth, right? I don't need to feel pressured to enjoy Pokemon Go with you. And if I say no, thank you, you're going to honor my boundary and be happy that I spoke up and that I'm not simply playing Pokemon Go to make you happy while silently wishing I were anywhere but there, right? So where is the line between good and bad selfish? Am I selfish for saying, actually, that doesn't interest me at all? No, thank you. Please enjoy that with other people in your life. Some people feel like a couple should be connected at the hip, and that is selfish, right? Sometimes I might even say, hey, I know you're going out. It's a beautiful day. I'll go out with you and enjoy the walk around while you're hunting Pokemon and just enjoy being with you. But I'm not really interested in Pokemon Go. I'll still be filled up. We'll still spend quality time. And you get to do what you love. Or you might say, you know what? I really appreciate that, but I'm going to go with my friends and I'd love to spend quality time with you in another way later, right? That'll fill us both up. Is that selfish? Is it selfish to need your space with your friends? Is it selfish for me to say that you get to do what you want to do with somebody else? Is it selfish for me to say, I don't want to do something that is going to make me bored to freaking death, even though I absolutely adore you and your company? I don't think so. Shelley says, after 20 years of being selfish, being asked what you want can be dumbfounding. Figuring out what you want is hard. This is true. However, once you start figuring out what you don't want, which is part of the things that we really dig down into in Take No Shit, and that's takenoshit.curiouser.life, we really dig down into what you don't want. It's, who was it? Was it Michelangelo? Well, there was a sculptor. I'm not going to pretend like I know who said it. There was a sculptor who said that the way that they sculpt is they see what's inside the stone and they chip away everything else. In some cases, that's all you need to do, right? You just need to chip away the things you don't want, and suddenly you're left with the things you do. Twist says, that makes sense, allowing me to fulfill my needs, but also expectations to fill yours. That goes either way. I like this. Yeah, and it's not even so much expectations to fulfill mine. It's that in a good partnership, selfishly, we want to make each other happy. Our lives are improved when our partners' lives are amazing. The more our partners have amazing lives, the more improved our lives are because our partners are able to be there for us to lean on and need, and so on and so forth. Amy says, the bad part is when one partner says, I don't want to do that and I don't want you to do it either. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it causes resentment. Yes. And that I would not accept. That is something that I don't believe is tenable in a relationship. It's not sustainable. And frankly, why don't you want me doing something that makes me happy? What is your problem that you don't want me doing something that fills me up, that fulfills me? What kind of shitty fuckhead are you? And granted, I don't think everyone means to be that way, but it comes across as controlling behavior. Alex says, I need to note for myself that chipping away the things I don't want is a way of feeding self-love, not rewarding self-hate. Absolutely. As long as what you are chipping away, you are actually getting rid of, you are stepping away from, you are releasing, you are forgiving. There's a difference, because if you're just cracking things and then leaving them there, you're not actually chipping them away, right? If you're just identifying something and saying, I don't like that, but you're not letting it go, yeah. Shelley says, sculpture analogy makes a lot of sense. You're welcome. Amy, social norms and upbringing, yikes. Yes. I mean, let me ask you this question. I've got 3 minutes before I need to be at my weekly Take No Shit private workshop, right? And today we're talking about empathy and how empathy can trap us in our relationships, especially with people who are not nice people. But how many people do you know when you were growing up who really had healthy, passionate, loving relationships, who gave you advice on how to have a good relationship? And then if you even knew one, then ask yourself, are you those people? Like, are you exactly like them? Do you have the same options in your life? Because the answer is going to be no, you do not. So you have to find what works for you. Roger says, the problem is there may be a huge difference between what you and I find acceptable. That was certainly the case in my marriage. Absolutely. And so the relationship ends. And I would imagine that I find out that my relationship ends more quickly, or, and here's a big one, that the two of you ended up growing apart for various reasons and resentments and so on and so forth. So when what you wanted and what she wanted diverged, there wasn't a lot of care to fix it, because there was already enough water under that bridge to make her not give a fuck. Right. Anyway, I have to go. On Thursdays, I have a double header. So in 1 minute, I am live for the Take No Shit workshop. I am talking about opposites attract, empathetic people, and your narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. So that will be in the Take No Shit library for those of you who do choose to join me over there, because it actually might be something you totally relate to. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Hopefully I will see you on another live. Like this, subscribe, say all the things. Be nice to me.